Hello, I'm Emma of Granola Gear, and I'm so excited to be chatting with you today about what my goals and plans are for the fall and winter knits this year. I'm filming this in August. I guess it's going to come out at the very end of August, and I know that it's still summertime, but I think like many other knitters I've seen on the internet, I'm pretty done with the summer knits. I'm ready to move on to the woolly stuff, and I may have largely transitioned. I've pretty much finished up my summer knits for the year. I don't think I want to cast on anything new because everything I have in mind is kind of big. So I think I'm going to save that for next year. But I wanted to walk through, because of that, some of what I'm thinking about working on, some of my goals, gaps I want to fill, and patterns that I'm interested in. I will say though that this is probably not going to be a like I'm not one of those knitters who makes like really specific plans and tries to do every single one of them. This is like general goals and like patterns that I really like and I own and want to knit or that kind of thing. I know there's definitely going to be a lot of really great patterns coming out this year. It looks like there's a lot of patterns coming out that are very cable heavy by designers, which I'm really interested to see. I've seen some samples in progress on Instagram, and those definitely may get added to the list. We will see. But that's what I'm thinking about right now. So I'll start by saying that I am wearing the Friday tee by Petite Knit. This is in an unraveled sweater yarn, the pink one, and then the blue is Drops Saffron in Cobalt. And I really love it. I was really kind of tired of knitting all the double rib. I feel like I knit a lot of it this summertime, so I was glad to cast this piece off. And now I get to wear it, and it's very comfy, and it's starting to get a little bit cooler and not so peak summer hot, so it's nice that I can actually put it on. Though I do live in New England in the Boston area, and I have to say, September always ends up being like the hottest month, one way or another, or there's like a couple days that really kill you. So I'm not anticipating that I'm going to be thrown on a woolly sweater every day of the week yet, but it's in the future. I see it coming. So I'll start with my goals. And the couple of things that I want to focus on, like specific type of garment this year, is vests. I was never really a vest person, but since knitting a few, I do actually wear them more than I would wear like a commercially made vest. I think commercially made vests just, I don't know, they were never really interested in me. I didn't find them very cute, but like a nice hand knit vest is actually really cute and like nice to throw on around the house when you don't need like a full sweater because maybe the heat is on, but you need a little bit of extra core warmth. Um, so that is one of my focuses because I only have one or two. The next is cardigans. I also only have a couple of these, and some of them were knit really early on in my knitting career. So I kind of want to bring a few more in the mix. I tend to gravitate towards pullovers just because you're knitting in the round more, so it's a little bit easier. But I'm okay with things being slower this year. I think I can handle that. I have plenty of knits in my closet, so I'm not like dying to add lots and lots of new ones. So I'm okay with being slowed down a little bit. And so I want to focus on cardigans because cardigans are definitely what I get more, not more wear out of. I wear my pullovers a lot, but I do really like throwing on a cardigan. I particularly am not that I won't wear them. I'm not the biggest fan of the V-neck cardigans. I prefer the ones that button all the way to the top and that are more jackety. Um, I will knit a V-neck cardigan if I really like the pattern. I just don't always like it as much unless it's something really simple. So there's that, vests, cardigans, and the last thing is accessories. I haven't actually knit that many hats. So hats are included within that. And another thing is I really want to do a color work cowl. I walk with my husband to work a lot in the morning in the wintertime. And I'm starting a new job soon, so I may not do that, but I will be walking to work at least part of the way. So I, in the wintertime, will need a cowl. I have a scarf that I'll throw on, but I would like to have one that's not like an infinity scarf where you're twisting it twice. I want one that just kind of sticks up and is able to like cover my face a little bit from wind in the cold. So that's one of the things that I would like to knit. I looked at some last year. I just never got around to it before the end of the season. But I have a lot of quantities of yarn that I think would be really perfect for a project like that. So it's kind of at the top of my mind. So strategies and techniques, I guess, that I want to be using this winter are I have a handful of sweaters that I don't wear as much that I think I'd like to focus on reworking. Like I, for example, have a Sunday cardigan that I knit in a 100% wool yarn that's gray. And I really like that pattern. It's a very beginner pattern. It doesn't have short rows. I don't like the button band. The button band is my biggest issue because it's not very sturdy. It like pulls apart in a bunch of places, and I don't like it that much. The buttonholes aren't great. So I think that I'm going to unravel that sweater and turn it into something else. That's one of my pieces, and then there's probably a few others that I could maybe do something along those similar lines with. And the other thing is technique that I want to do more of this year is color work or steeking. I want to try more steeking. I don't know why more cardigans aren't steeked, because to me, I mean, I guess it seems scary to beginners, but to me, it just seems like it makes everything easier. Like you're just doing all the knitting in the round, and your tension's really even, but then you get a cardigan. So that's something I want to try more of this year. I've like unofficially steeked a little bit, but I haven't done a full cardigan. So that's one of the things I want to try this year. Now I will get into more specific plans and patterns that I want to work on. I will start with the firm ones, and then I'll go to the maybes and the things I'm kind of still looking for. Some of these are firm because I've already started them. Some of these are firm because I have the pattern or I have the yarn. I tend to be a yarn first knitter, but sometimes you just end up with the pattern because you really love it. And so that's why these are firm. The first one is the Maria by Memory Lane. I have been working on this one, not by Memory Lane. It's in the Memory Lane book by Claudia Quintilla. I'm working on this one. And this fits in my color work category, and it's a really nice tailored piece. I don't have as many more fitted pieces. Most of mine are pretty loose and oversized, so that's pretty cool. I really love the color work in this one. It's super beautiful. And I'm looking forward to the beading. I have to find some beads. I think that will probably take me the longest of the whole project, but that is the first piece. The next one is the April Cardigan by Petite Knit. This one's on my list because I have a cone of yarn that's perfect for this. And I think I have knit that pattern before, and I think I would like to knit it again. I enjoyed the piece the first time. I knit it the first time in a cashmere that came from an unraveled sweater, and I wear it all the time in the summertime. It's a nice, simple little pattern, and I didn't want to do something oversized with this yarn because it's yellow, and I'm not a super yellow person. I've talked about this in the podcast, but I decided something oversized was not fit for me for this yarn, so something that's a little more slim and form-fitting like the April cardigan just made more sense. It's small, it'll be good to throw over something in the winter time. That's my second one. The next is the Beatrix cardigan by Gregoria Fibers. I recently test knit for this designer, and this was the pattern a lot of them do in exchange for, not in exchange, but in thanks for being a test knitter, they'll give you a pattern of your choice from their catalog at the end of the test knit. And this was the one that I asked for, and I really love this one because it's so all over textured. I know it'll be a total beast to knit, but I really love it. I'm looking for a yarn for it. I may have found something, we will see. I love the texture. I think it'll be a great cardigan addition. It's all the way up, like I said, that's my preferred style of cardigan. So yeah, I'm excited about that one. I love the cable detailed down either side of the little buttons. I think it's a very beautiful design. There's some designers out there doing some really interesting stuff, and that's one of them. The next sweater that I have the pattern for that was very kindly gifted to me by a viewer on Ravelry. Thank you so much. And that is the Brady Loop sweater by Other Loops. This one, something about it gives me like crew neck sweatshirt vibes. And I'm a big crew neck sweatshirt girl. And I don't really know why that is because it has a really wide double ribbing that I like. And it's got cables and like a saddle across the back. But I think it's the fit. It doesn't really cinch at the bottom and it feels very like straight. I think the rib makes it feel like, obviously the lines go down in rib, but it makes it feel very not A-line, and not boxy, just very straight. The way that it sits, the way that maybe a crew neck sweatshirt would. So I'm really excited about that one. I have to find yarn for that one, something that's not too like dominant, something that is like nothing like marled, something that's more like true one color, I think, probably for that piece. But I'm really excited about that one. The next piece is a piece that once again fits with the yarn that I have, which is why it's on the list, and that is the Floriste by Sari Nordland. And that's a fingering weight cardigan with like a lacy situation up on the yoke. And this is because I have a fingering weight superwash that I think would fit with this. I think a cardigan would be a good match. And I think because it's kind of like it's like a pale blue sort of, it's a hand-dyed yarn, a pale blue sort of color. I think that this would be a good piece for that because it's kind of light and, I don't know, I guess girly and detailed, and I think it would be really pretty for that. And I don't have a light cardigan like that. So that one's by Sari Nordland. I don't know if I said. So the next piece, another cardigan, is the Ester Jacket by Petite Knit. I think this is what I'm going to use my Sunday cardigan yarn for. The Sunday cardigan is a bulky weight, but I think I can make the yarn work. I'll have to do a swatch, but I think I can make the yarn work, and I have extra left over from that project still. So even though the Ester Jacket is larger, I think I can make it happen. We'll see, I might be wrong. If the swatch is totally off, I might knit that with something different. I wasn't originally sold on the Ester Jacket, but after a whole season of looking at it and continuing to think about it, I think it's something I'd like to knit. Like, once again, it's that style of cardigan that I like. So that one's up there. I may knit it, like I said, with a different yarn, even if that one doesn't work. The next piece that I really want to knit, this one I don't own the pattern, and I don't have like it's other than it just being a vest, I don't have a specific reason, and that is the Eurus Slipover by Agio Knit. I really love the texture of this. I love this sweater too, but I have a lot of pullovers, and I love the slipover just as much, so I think this slipover makes the most sense for me. It's also knit flat, I believe, because it's knit horizontally across, not like top down or bottom up. I don't have a yarn for this, but I think I would like something that's lighter colored. I think that fits more with the vibe that I'm going for. I don't honestly usually look for really specific colors unless it's a super special piece for some reason to me. But I think this one would just work best in a light color. I think it just gives the vibe, whether it's like white or light gray, something along those lines. I'm not sure if it's suited for maybe a really pale color. I don't want to do it in like a dark color or like a bright color. Maybe a bright color. I don't know. I think a light color, like a gray. Pretty much what the sample looks like. I don't usually go for things that look exactly like the sample, but I think that's how it's suited to be that way. And that one's by Agio Knit. The next one is the Alpine Bloom sweater by Boylan Knitworks. I have this pattern. I bought it when it was on sale because I love floral yoke colorwork patterns. Do not have a yarn for it. I totally have to find something. Sport's kind of weird for me. I feel like I don't usually find sport weight yarns, but I'll find something. It also has to be something that's probably good against the skin because it has a more fitted arm. But I love all the details in this. I love the neck edging. It's got a braid of some kind, I think, in the sleeves. It just adds another dimension to a really pretty colorwork pattern. Because colorwork can be beautiful, but sometimes it just needs a little bit more to tie the whole thing together. And that's what I think this has going for it. This one's been on my list for a while. And I'm also interested in knitting. In my maybes, I have the hat. But my last firm thing that I really want to knit, I don't have a specific pattern for it, but I want to knit I think it's called a Norwegian kofta, like the cardigan that's steeped in all over colorwork. I see, who is it? Knitting Traditions, Inga from Knitting Traditions. She has some really beautiful ones, and she's from Norway. I love that style of cardigan, and I would love to knit like one for myself that's an heirloom and beautiful. I don't know. My mother-in-law may be going to Oslo in a couple of months or like in the wintertime. She's not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. But if she does, I may have her pick me up something special for a cardigan like that. Something that you can only get in Norway. So that's sort of my thought process with that. But if you have any recommendations for a sweater like that, please throw it in the comments because I've been looking and Sandnesgarn has some nice ones, but a lot of them are like you have to buy all the yarn from them to get the pattern book. And I'm not really a big fan of that. I think I understand the strategy and that's just what they do. But it's like it ends up being $200 for just buying the pattern and a couple others. And I'm just not, I'm a little too frugal for that. So on to my maybe patterns. The first one is also by Boylan Knitworks, and that one is the halibut cowl. I knit the halibut sweater for my husband, and the halibut cowl is like the one of the ones that I'm considering for my cowl project. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's exactly what I want. I have to look through my yarn to see what I have and see if that's what, like, if that fits that, if that fits my vibe and what I want to wear, the colors that I have with the fish. So that's a maybe. That's one thing I'm considering. The next one is the Alpine Bloom hat, like I mentioned, by Boylan Knitworks. I just really like that print, the colorwork design that she has, and I think it looks really nice in the hat. Like I said, I need to make a few more hats. That one might be fun. We will see. Once again, I'll have to look through my stash and see what I've got. The next maybe is the Barbro blouse, which is a Knitting for Olive pattern by Pernille Larson. And I knit the Barbro top, and I don't think the stitch pattern is nearly as bad as it looks. This one for me is if if I am placing a yarn order and I find a yarn that suits this, or I decide to buy Knitting for Olive, I will, and it's like a good price, I will place that order. I will include it in my order. I usually do maybe 1 or 2 orders a year for like a couple specific projects. Usually when things are on sale, I don't buy a whole lot other than like thrifted yarns. So it's usually when there's something specific I want. So we'll see how things weigh out with that, if it's feasible for me, if I think it makes sense. But I think that's a really cool pattern. It would be fun to have. But in the end, I might decide it's not something I'll wear. I don't know. That's why it's in the maybes, but I really love it. The next piece is the Maggie vest by Petite Knit. I didn't like the Maggie sweater, I think it is, that just has the short sleeves. That's not really my thing. It's like a t-shirt. But even though it's really simple, I do really like the Maggie vest. I'm sure there are others similar to it, but that's just the one I've seen and the one that's in my mind. I like the buttons. I think that's a fun detail. I think you could unbutton it and it would still look nice and cute. But that's in my vest category of maybe vests. It's one of the ones I'm debating, considering. Once again, will depend on yarn. So I'll probably look at what I have, and then whatever weight I have will determine which vest that I knit, or which vests that I knit. We'll see how many I get done. The next piece that's a maybe, once again for yarn reasons, is the porcelain sweater by Lane Knit. I love this pattern, and specifically the porcelain yoke sweater. I like the porcelain sweater, but I think the porcelain yoke sweater is probably more realistic for me. But I think it's just as pretty. I haven't decided if it's something that I'd want to do basically in the same colorway that she has the samples in, or in something totally different. I can't decide if part of why I like it so much is the color, or if I just really like the color work. I think it's a little bit of both. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to find something that's cream and cobalt or something along those lines, or if I don't care what color I knit it in. That'll be the determining factor. Plus, it's fingering weight, which is kind of a lot, and why I'm leaning towards the yoke one rather than the regular one. But there's that. The next one is another vest. This one's one I've knit before, so I own the pattern, and I don't really love the yarn I used the first time, so I'm considering knitting it again, and that's the Lulu Slipover by Petite Knit. I like this pattern. I usually have quite a bit of worsted weight yarn, so I think it's a good option for me. It does use quite a bit, though, I believe. Um, I knit one last year in just a yarn that I had, and it was a synthetic blend, and I've worn it a couple times, but it's kind of a weird yellow, which, like I've said, yellow isn't super my thing. So I think I might try to knit it again with a different yarn depending on what I have. I think that would be really pretty, and maybe like a blue. I have so many blues though, but who cares? Wear what you love. I love blue, or I love wearing blue. It's easy to wear, I guess. So that's another thing I'm considering. The next one is kind of crazy. And this is the last like official specific pattern that's a maybe for me. And that is Augustine's number 34 by Augustine's. And this is a skirt. And it's a long skirt. And that's kind of not a long skirt, but it's like a midi skirt. And that just feels like kind of a crazy project to knit. But something about it I just love so much. And it looks so cozy. I think it would be so much fun. I'd have to figure out what kind of yarn made sense for a project like that, because it would probably have to be some kind of like have nylon in it or something, so it could be more hard wearing and it's not gonna like totally felt up from you sitting on it or whatever. But maybe it's just a standing skirt. I don't know. But that's something I've been thinking about, especially because it doesn't actually take a huge amount of yarn. I don't think, I believe it's knit in a bulky weight. But I don't know. What do you think? I think it's a really cool piece. I'd probably figure out a way to wear it, even with just like a plain turtleneck or something. I think it would be really cute. Like you don't need a whole knit on top, something simple. But those are my thoughts. This is what I'm planning for, maybe, if I find the right yarn. And the one thing I haven't found a pattern for, but that is kind of on my list to knit, is a fingering weight shawl with under 400 yards. I have 2 fingering weight skeins, and I'd really like to knit shawls out of each of them. They're special skeins, and I'd like to use most of them. And they're both about 400 yards, I believe. I haven't really found a pattern that I love for them yet. I tried one pattern, and it ended up being almost entirely like twisted stitches, and that just wasn't going to happen. I generally have a preference for uh, like curved shawls over triangle shawls. I'm not super a scarf person like day to day. I might throw something over my shoulders, but I don't really love the big point. I don't know. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear what your favorites are. Uh, I don't know. It might not happen again this year. They might just sit there. It's only 2 skeins. They're not taking up a whole lot of space, but it would be really nice to use them because I have had one of them for quite a while. But those are generally my plans. We'll see how it all pans out. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up or a subscribe. I really appreciate your support. It means so much. I'll have a podcast coming out next week if you'd like to join me for that. I'm definitely getting into the winter knits and some of the things that I talked about. So that's really exciting. I can't wait to get into it. I am like the most excited. Once again, thank you so much for joining me and happy knitting.